And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist Peter Chan, and this is your Alaska Aviation Weather Outlook on this Friday, October 24th, 2025. And to help set things up, we currently have a general circulation here in the atmosphere, low pressure over the Bering, especially here in the western quadrant. And we have a weakening low in the western Gulf that's going to pull southeastward as a couple of weak low pressure wave impulses kind of pull back to the north and west. That'll keep some showers going, some rain showers along the immediate coast, snow showers as you get up near the coastal mountains. To start off, there's also enough instability that there could be a few flashes of lightning, rumbles of thunder over the eastern Gulf Saturday morning, and this area off the west coast, off the Yukon Delta, Nunavik Island down toward St. Paul. For the interior, we have some thicker clouds that could produce some areas of snow, lower ceilings, visibility, also icing there, and that would include parts of the North Slope, Brooks Range into the upper Yukon Valley, 40-mile Gold Country, White Mountains along the Alaska Range, also the intercoastal mountains here down along the northern Gulf Coast into the northern Panhandle up against British Columbia. Saturday afternoon, still the eastern Gulf could be flash of lightning, rumble of thunder. Same thing here outside here of Kuskokwim Bay down to north of the Alaska Peninsula. For the interior where it's colder and there would be some pockets of snow, lower ceilings, visibilities. We find IFR conditions along the eastern half, the Alaska Range, again, Alcan border, 40-mile Gold Country back up along the Brooks Range and especially the southern slopes there, Ambler on over to Bettles. And then for Sunday morning, we still have that potential for a flash, lightning, rumble of thunder over the eastern, northeastern Gulf area, and then also near and south of the lower portion of the Alaska Peninsula. Meanwhile, the interior, MVFR conditions along the Yukon River with some IFR conditions there, north slope, south slopes of the Brooks Range, and again the areas, especially higher terrain around Fairbanks toward the Alcan border, Eagle, down toward maybe Northway, and along the Alaska Range. Should note too, over the weekend, there's going to be a weak trough that butts up along the YK Delta that could have some snow showers with it. So keep that in mind as the recovery efforts continue here for how long that was very devastating two weekends ago. And so it's going to be a long time for things to at least get healed and fixed up, because this has been just a really trying period when it comes to these coastal storms and the damage and disruption they can cause. Sunday, MVFR conditions over the Gulf, parts of the Alaska Range in through the interior along the lower Yukon. There may be some IFR conditions. We'll update that come tomorrow. But Anatuvik Pass starting out IFR, that'll hold for Saturday, as will Adigan Pass there in the east central Brooks Range. Coming down along the Alaska Range, West Arm, Lake Clark, Merrill, generally MVFR Saturday. IFR Rainy Pass early becoming MVFR. Same thing, Windy Pass, IFR in the morning becoming MVFR. Isabel Pass will likely hold on to IFR conditions Saturday. Mentasta starting MVFR becoming IFR as the day wears on. Tanita Pass, some IFR conditions in the morning, giving way to MVFR. And then Portage Pass, generally MVFR conditions through the length of the pass. So the east end out toward Prince William Sound may see a period of IFR in the morning. And Chilkoot and White starts off Saturday IFR, but gives way to MVFR midday and afternoon. One thing that's changed with the freezing levels is that we have no strong low pressures or fronts pulling warmer air aloft northward. Overall, we've seen a cooling pattern across the state, especially the mainland and Bering. Freezing levels aloft are 2,000 feet over the Gulf and south of the eastern Aleutians. So no real more moist air aloft lift like the bigger storms we've seen here the past month. This overall cooling trend is going to continue across the state, especially the mainland, as we head through next week leading up to and past Halloween into early November. We're going to see more typical colder temperatures, early winter temperatures, as low pressure energy rotates out of the Gulf and links up with other low pressure energy and moisture coming up out of the North Pacific. The active region will be along the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle, especially the latter half of next week into early November. But what that is going to do is increase at times. You're going to have some stronger gap winds and colder temperatures here developing over the interior as a result of that pattern. Icing Saturday, where we do have thicker clouds, some precipitation, lower ceilings. We could have moderate icing above 2,000 feet along parts of the North Slope, Brooks Range, upper Yukon Valley, and then coming down through the Alaska Range, especially central West Arm, lower Tanana Valley to around the 40-mile Gold Country above 3,000 feet, and then along the Gulf Coast in showers and areas toward the Alaska Range, there may be some icing above 5,000 feet. On the jet stream pattern, no really strong jet cores. If you recall, with some of the storms we've seen in the past month, there have been some jet cores of 150 knots at 30,000 feet. This time around, just a broad belt of winds, 65, 75 knots from the western Aleutians into the North Pacific, well south of the Gulf. So nothing too terribly strong there. At 9,000 feet, 700 millibars, we do find a little stronger north flow immediately over Lake Iliamna, just south end of Kodiak Island. But the main circulating winds are around this low in the western Bering, with a pocket of 50 to 65 knot winds north of the central and western Aleutians in the lower central Bering. And then at 3,000 feet, see the low circulation here over the western Bering, and a little locally stronger winds out there toward the western central Aleutians, 35, 45 knots. We also find some maybe 30, 35 knot flow out of Kamishak Bay, Lower Cook Inlet across the Katmai region into south side of Kodiak Island. And you have this low circulation that's going to be slipping southeastward, south of the Gulf on Saturday. So the greatest threat of turbulence for Saturday will be out in areas of the west. First starting Shelikof Strait, Kodiak Island, Katmai region, Lower Cook Inlet. There may be some moderate turbulence there, surface 4,000 feet. Along the YK Delta's coastline there could be some isolated moderate turbulence as this trough with some snow showers kind of butts up along this part of the west coast, extending up to especially the north side of St. Lawrence Island, surface to 3, surface to 4,000 feet, and then trailing out the Aleutians. And the lower Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, could be some moderate turbulence, surface to 4,000 feet Saturday, and then back out here toward the western Aleutians, especially west of Adak to Kiska. We're looking at some moderate turbulence on Saturday, surface to 3,000 feet.